Now, how actual ready are you? Because it is actually recording now, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, dude. Well, so give me the substance before I introduce you to the people who are listening. Where are you sitting? Are you in the car right now?
Yeah, I'm in the car right now.
So we got you. Where you at? You in California?
Yeah, near down near Manhattan Beach.
Okay, nice. And then you got the dog. You're doing a running day, and
Yeah,
right now you're chopping it up with. I mean, arguably, I'd have to put myself as what probably the best reliable middle reliever in the low A league of the Midwest League in 2013 to 15. You think?
100%. You're gonna see a lot of strikes. A lot of strikes.
I mean, the guy pounds the zone. You go and hunt it down and catch it for me. So for people who are listening, we got Johnny Davis is with us today, and Johnny and I were teammates. I don't even remember what year it was, but we were with the Brewers. You made your major league debut this year with the Rays. Super, super cool for yourself, and I'm sure we'll talk about that and let you dive into it. But more so as a former teammate and a guy who I kind of got to see that. It's crazy because from my perspective, man, you kind of once you leave baseball, you sort of leave like thinking about baseball, and a couple years goes down the road, and I mean, obviously, I would chirp you or you chirp me here and there, just as if anything came up that resembled our playing days, and all of a sudden, you wake up and you're in the freaking big leagues. And it was cool because I remember in Rat, we got to give Rattery a shout out. He's going to like this, the old Sperlin days.
Yeah.
The boys used to sit there in Appleton, Wisconsin, and talk about it. And years go by, and you get yourself into Major League Baseball. So first of all, congratulations. But what I also think is you're just a cool dude. I got it. People got to know. People kind of got to know about how this happened for you in baseball too. I mean, and I guess we'll start from where you're at now. I mean, what has life been like since a major league outing?
Uh, it's kind of the same. I treat it the same as like you get a lot of people that congratulate you and stuff like that, but I don't know. I treat it the same. Like I I don't know. Been a little more comfortable at home as a like. It feels good to finally do what I've been striving to do, but as like it's been motivation also. Like it makes you want to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
yeah, it makes you want to work harder. It makes you not get complacent.
Well, so when you think about that, and like we've kind of talked on when we were playing together and whatnot, but you've had a fascinating ride, and has there been? I think we can get into the depths of that and that motivation. But you were learning when I met you in your career. You were learning all sorts of things about baseball. You were learning about, am I switch hitter? Am I bunting? Am I trying to just get on base and steal? Am I a primarily defensive guy? I mean, you can speak higher than I can, but from my point of view, I mean, that was what led us into such fun nights back in when we were playing, was because we were all trying to figure it out, right? And I think you were
Yeah.
in sort of a little bit more of a difficult place than the rest of us, because you were trying to establish yourself of what your identity was as a ball player. Now, obviously, for people who understand this, you've got to be like the fastest guy in the show, right?
Yeah. No doubt.
So I mean, you,
Yeah.
you always had the legs and always had the speed, but remember back when you first started playing to where you're at now, when you first got into pro ball. I mean, can you kind of touch on what it was like then, of how you felt this baseball ride would go? Where there's some times in there where you didn't feel like this would really work out, and maybe I don't want to keep doing this, and you had to find ways to motivate yourself. Then, what were some of the things that got you back in the day that kind of kept you pushing through?
Uh, like you said, I was trying to find my identity of me as a baseball player. I just started playing baseball. I got the first year I started playing baseball. That's when I got drafted, and then the second year I was playing baseball, it was me and you in low A, and that was my second year. So I was trying to figure things out. Like, all right, they just threw me to the fire, and let's see how he performs. And I'm a competitor, and I'm a competitor, and I'm confident. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna figure this out on the go. So that's what I was doing. That's kind of what I've been doing the whole time in baseball until like 2 years back. When I got to Double A, I kind of figured out baseball. Kind of figured out how to hit. Kind of figured out how to bunt and everything. So like, everything else before Double A was all just competitiveness. Like that was just all me. My numbers that I put up before Double A, that was all me competing. After Double A, it was actually me knowing how to play baseball.
I can only imagine how many people are gonna be so happy to hear what you're saying right now that know you know and played with you.
Yeah.
I think people
Yeah,
I think I have to reiterate that you started playing baseball, just for people understanding this, in professional baseball.
No, I started playing baseball the same year I got drafted. So I played 1 year college and got drafted.
Oh, that is unbelievable. Can you go back to that and just, I mean, it's amazing. It's literally remarkable. And it was the day when you made your debut. I was with a group of high school kids that were all baseball players. I literally stopped the training to share that, because it just goes to show how small the world is, how hard it is, how, being in right places, working hard. And then to what you're saying, it goes to show the importance of competitiveness, just simply competing and figuring it out on the go. And that's just, I can't even wrap my head around what that would feel like. But when you first started playing baseball, what was the incentive to even try playing?
Well, I ran into my little brother was playing, and he was getting scouted or whatever, and he was talking to a twin scout, go by the name of Taylor. He's not with the Twins now; he's with the Mariners. But this guy named Taylor, and Taylor talking to him about his family, and my brother was like, "Hey, yeah, I got a brother. He's faster than me." And Taylor was like, "No way." And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Bring him out. I want to see him run." And like Taylor saw me run and was like, "Dude, you just ran the fastest 60 I've ever seen."
What was the 60?
609.
Wow.
And yeah, so Taylor's like, I'm gonna bring out my cross checker to see you hit. Can you hit? I was like, yeah, like, yeah. So they bring out the cross checker, and Taylor's like nervous. Taylor's like, hey man, like, because Taylor never seen me hit either.
Right.
He got the cross checker out there, flew him out there, and it's go time. So Taylor flies him out. He sees me, and Taylor's like, "Hey, dude, I'm nervous, man. Don't embarrass me."
Put your hands like this and try to hit barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, and I told Taylor, I was like, "Dog, I got you. Don't worry about it." And we go out there, and I put on a show.
Yeah.
I put on a show. Like, man, I'm telling you, God was with me because I don't know, that might have been one of my best BP days ever. So they try to see if they can sign me, and they're like, "Oh, we can't sign him because he's in college." I was in college playing football at the time, so
yeah.
they figured out they couldn't sign me. The Major League Baseball office said I wasn't eligible. I had to go through the draft.
Okay.
So they told me they were like, Taylor was like, "Hey, don't play baseball. Just finish your college football season. We're gonna draft you in June."
Wow.
And I didn't want to go about it that way. I wanted to go play baseball so I can get a head start, so I can learn somewhat before I get in pro ball. So that's why I went to college. I went off to college and played, and the rest is history, man. I got drafted by the Brewers. Ended up getting drafted by the Brewers and not even the Twins.
Wow, so yeah, I didn't even think about that. And I remember us talking about that. You don't think about it at the time, really, because we were all in the same boat when we were all playing. It's kind of amazing story, and there's a lot of amazing stories in sports, right? Everyone's kind of got a story, so you're just immersed in these stories, and then you become friends with somebody and you just support them. But how did that happen? So you go and play college ball, which was highly intelligent, I'd have to say, on your end, right? You kind of go, okay, let me figure this out for a second. And now you decide you put football down, which we should probably go back to as well. But so did other teams come in the picture? Like, had you heard from the Brewers before the draft, or other teams communicate with you?
I had heard from all teams.
Yeah.
Like, I had heard from every single team.
Okay.
Almost every team.
Yeah.
Almost every team. it's like they had to talk to me, I think, because I think it's something about, like, somebody told me that the MLB like put something next to my name as of like a must go see.
Okay.
Because I was so fast.
Yeah.
So I think all the teams came out to see me, and I talked to almost all the teams. So throughout my college season, because I did well. Like, that was my first season, and I was top 5 in every category in the whole league. Like, so.
Wow.
So yeah. So I did pretty well in college.
I mean, I guess switching gears just for a second, but that was something when I told you before we got on the phone, and I told you I was making a pot of coffee. My buddy's over here, and I told him, I said, you know, it's weird as how you would just kind of assume that you could be an unbelievable like punt returner or kick returner in the NFL, right? Like you could just put this guy in football and have him do his thing and play all those years. And was that a hard decision at the time to not chase football? Like, because it seems like you just kind of immediately went, all right, I can make baseball work. Let me put the time in here, go play a college season. And then you dominated, which is again, amazing. And then you get drafted and you made the right choice, right? You played in the big leagues. But what was that? Was that hard to put down the pads and grab the bat?
Super hard, man. I still think about it today. Like, I miss it. I miss playing football. Like, I love playing football. It was fun. But at the time, the thought process that was going through my head was, I got a major league scout right here talking to me right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm a commodity. The way it's looking right now, it ain't too many of me's in baseball.
Right.
So by me being a commodity, I gotta go and try this out. Football's gonna be there. That's how I thought. I was like, hey, this don't work. I'm in and out of baseball a year and a half. I'll go back and play football.
Wow.
But I think it's gonna, like, I thought it was gonna work. I'm like, dude, I can do this. Like, it just was in my head that I had this for sure. Like, I could do this.
Wow. Did you have someone in your corner sort of coaching you through that or walking you through that? And go ahead.
Yes, my little brother's coach. He's kind of been a mentor all my like a lot of my life, big portion of my life, and he's been trying to get me to play baseball for years. Like, he had been trying to get me to play, and that was another. I was like, this is a sign. Like, maybe I was born to play baseball.
Right.
Because this guy been trying. Like, his name's Gerald Pickens.
Yeah.
He's been trying to get me to play baseball all this time, and I ain't want to play. And a scout come telling me to play baseball. Now I want to play. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that. So I was just like, yeah, it's probably a sign that I should go play baseball.
Hey, Coach, you might have been onto something. I think I'm going to try this baseball thing out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's literally
exactly.
Like, how did
he actually got to see me get my first hit too. He was at that game.
Oh wow, man, that is awesome. How did you? So what was making him think that you were a baseball player? You had to have been running around the streets playing ball, throwing, or because even when you watch you throw, you know, obviously I remember when because would I have met you your third season of baseball? Second season. Okay, so I'm with you your second year of playing baseball, and it wasn't like you had. See, what I think we could be painting the picture like you didn't know how to play baseball. I mean, it wasn't like you threw bad or like you looked like a baseball player, you know. So it wasn't, you know. So you had to have had enough actions or skill sets, I suppose, as you were younger to show that you had the ability to at least play ball. Like, it's not like, I don't want people to think that it's not like you were having trouble catching this thing. I mean, you were literally running. You were on ESPN. You had a top 10 play, robbing a home run. I think I was pitching, honestly, at that moment. But my thing is, like, it's not like you looked out of the ordinary, you know, and we're talking about professional baseball here. So you had to have had some skill growing up. Do you think your brother too, just like throwing with him, swinging with him, you know, maybe not as organized as what was going on, but
yeah. So like my brother, I'd go pick, like if my mom went to go pick up my little brother from practice or something, I get out there and joke around and like, I'd hit around or something, a BP, and he just saw it. Like it wouldn't even be nothing like crazy good. He just saw the swing. Was like, dude, you can do this. And I'm like, nah, I don't want. I'd be like, nah, I don't want to. I'm good. I don't want to. I'm good.
I love it, man. I love it. And what was the like? Why didn't you want to do it? What was just the was it boring? You know what I mean? Some of the common themes that
Yeah,
people wouldn't want to play baseball.
it's just like I was fast paced, man. Like it wasn't for me. Like my life at that point in time, I was just a fast paced person. I needed stuff like that, like quick, snap of the finger, and it was like baseball. It was a lot of waiting, a lot of patience,
Yeah.
and I just wasn't about that. I wasn't about that back then.
I remember as I'm thinking through, just hearing you. First of all, it's awesome talking to you, man. I've missed you. It's fun to hear your voice
Yeah,
again and listen to you
no
talk.
doubt.
But it's funny as I'm listening to you, I'm starting to rethink some of the conversations we used to have. And I remember one. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember one conversation you were talking to Rattery about hitting, and you were saying you were talking about how these guys are throwing 90 miles an hour and you can't even do anything about it. You know, if they hit you, you're just like, okay, now I'm done. You know, like I can't, like
Yeah,
they're just out there, and doing that. And so the reason why I touch on that is, again, you were facing 90 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour, and you already alluded towards the fact that you were just out there competing. I mean, I can't comprehend, and I don't even know if you can answer this, but I can't comprehend what the speed of baseball is like in that's like when you jumped in to start playing. Like you started playing at the highest level that was available. So I mean, was that pretty insane to practice? Like what was hitting practice like back then? Like how did you get your eye up to speed to see that? Because now you've been seeing 90-mile-an-hour fastballs for a decade,
yeah,
So
yeah.
what was that like?
So the this is honestly what it looked like. So back then,
Yeah.
back then, 90 miles an hour back then looked like back then how 95 looks like to me now.
Sure.
So like when I saw 90 back then, it was like it was 95.
Yeah.
So when I saw 95 back then, bro, like it looked like a golf ball. Like I legit couldn't see it. I was just up there competing. Like I had my mind set on like I'm about to smash this dude. I don't care how hard he's throwing. Like, and my mind was tricked that way, and I think that's what got me through it because I legit couldn't see it. Like legit, like I don't know. Some of them, like when I think back to some of the guys I faced in AZL and in low A and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, these dudes was throwing 100, and I was hitting the ball, like I was putting good swings on them. I was getting hits. Like how was I doing that?
Yeah.
And 100 still looks hard. 100 still looks hard now today.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even imagine like just back then, like, bro, how was I doing that? How was I doing that?
Yeah, and so the other cool thing about you is that you learned in the process. Like I don't know how many people I've been around that have been able to fail and learn and compete at the same time. I mean, that was your livelihood, right? So this was something that you chose as a career. So you were in your job in front of people, failing and learning at the same time. Like you're trying to accelerate your learning process. And I mean, in those, I know that you had some nights where it was like, is this worth it? Was this a good choice? And obviously you have the amazing story, but you are extremely competitive, and you're a dude who just shows up. I mean, the energy you play with is just the energy as a person. That's why people love you, right? Like you're just freaking ready to go. But it's more so of, when you were going through those times and struggling and learning and advancing and trying to do that, and kind of, I'm sure you had some nights where you're like, man, Johnny, am I sure I want to do this? What's kept you having the intuition to compete at that level? Because that is something that I wonder if that's innate in people. You know what I mean? I wonder if you just have always had that, or what makes you have that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, like, I don't know, man. I honestly think it's just the confidence of me still knowing that I can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you got nights where you be like, all right, I don't know about this. Like maybe like this process is taking too long for me to make it to the big leagues. Like, all of those bad thoughts go through your head, but at the end of the day, when you sit there, you be like, what am I talking about? Like, how am I really about to just throw away all my talent? Like, I always felt I was way too talented to not do something great.
Wow.
So how do I just sit there and throw away all my talent and just go live a regular life? Like living a regular life is cool if you're not as talented as I was, or you're not as talented as I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like me working in a 9 to 5, I'm wasting it.
Right.
I'm like, how do I go sit and work in a cubicle when I'm the fastest man in the cubicle? That makes no sense.
Oh man.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm the fastest man in the building. Like, in city, but like I'm in a city right now where I'm 100% the fastest man in this city, and you're gonna tell me I'm gonna go work in a cubicle? No chance.
Oh man.
No chance.
That is powerful, and that goes way more than just speed, right? If you're smart, if you're strong, if you have a musical art, any sort of talent, why would you suppress that, right? And that had to have come. I mean, what was that? So when you were, that's riding on your purpose heavily, right? So is that something that did you gather that as a young kid? Did you know that were you the fastest person growing up?
Yeah. Like every school I always went to, I was the fastest guy at the school. Like, just I've always had it. And I asked psychologist, like, you know, the mind lady for the Brewers.
Oh
that we had back in the day.
Yeah.
I actually asked her because I couldn't, like, hey, hush, Zeus. My dog
got
growling at another dog. Yeah. No, but yeah, I asked her, like, how can people not feel the way I feel? How can people do something and not have the confidence that I have in themselves? Like, I didn't understand it because I've always had it. And I was like, was I raised to have it like that? Because I want to know, because I want to raise my son to have it like that.
Sure.
Because I really couldn't get my mind wrapped around it. Like, you got these guys, I don't want to name any names, but there was guys in the organization that were crazy talented, but doubted their ability. And I'm looking at them like, dude, like, you're talented. Like, I'm looking at you. Everybody here loves you. All the coaches love you. And you can't see the talent in yourself and be confident and go to the plate and know that you're better than that pitcher. Like, I don't get that. I don't get that. And I wonder if that's the way you're raised, or are you born like that? Is it a gift? I really don't know, but that's how I've always felt.
Yeah, and I wonder, because you have a tight-knit group of friends too, right? Because you've always had you have a good support system around you as well, and and obviously as a teammate, I would wonder, because you did say, and I know what you're saying, because I saw that a lot too, right? And I mean, I was a victim of that as well. Like, I mean, I would sit there, and sometimes you think too much, you outthink your own thinking, you know, or you just kind of think through things where it's just very simple. You're just saying, no, like, I'm the fastest and I'm going to outcompete and I know I can do this. Very simple. I don't adjust from that. I stay my lane and I go. I wonder if it's like, have people pushed you? Like, did your inner circle and the coaches you said growing up, like, did they always push you to believe in that? And I know you'll do that for your son as well, but do you feel like you've had people that have, that you've sort of just aligned with who have reassured you of your confidence?
Yeah, no doubt. Cause I had coaches that'll tear you down, but build you up at the same time. So I had some good mentors. I'm a track coach. He's really good mentor, and he's the baseball coach that got me back into baseball. Like, he was a really good mentor, and like, honestly, like, dude, I didn't have my dad all of my childhood because my dad was in and out of jail. But when he was there, I feel like a lot of my confidence came from that too, just on him pumping my head up.
Sure.
Like, you know, pumping my head up to his friends. I wasn't even playing any sports. It was just like, my son could do 20 push-ups. Like, you want to see him do it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, things like that. So my dad will pump my head up on things like that. And honestly, I think that stuck with me for a while. Like, I think that stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah.
And, like, just people telling you to not say I can't. And like, where I grew up, like, your back being against the wall at all times. Like, and overcoming all of that. And it makes me, like, the things that I've overcome in life, like, I feel like I can do anything. Like, I can do anything. Nothing. Baseball is not as hard as my life was growing up. So
right.
None of them strikeouts don't matter. Like, me getting out don't matter. I'm going to still bounce back because I bounce back in real life.
Well, and
So
that's
that's
what,
how I think.
yeah, and that's another thing I was gonna, because I know I've always been you can admire you in the sense of what you did overcome and what you're doing. That's got to play a role in it too, right? Because you were essentially having to fend for yourself right away.
Yeah, have to.
And I can't remember that lady, but we probably shouldn't say her name anyways. But what was the conversation like when you used to bring that up to the sports psych?
She kind of told me it was kind of like what you're saying, like coaches around you, your parents and stuff like that. And she said it can be a gift also. It can be both. But she told me, like, because there's people that can tear you down.
Right.
And one of our teammates, that I don't want to mention his name, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He was tore down by a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, like, the coach giving him that confidence to give him that edge, like, hey, you can do this, you're the man. The coach was kind of tearing him down, knowing the whole time that this dude was the man.
Right.
Instead of, like, letting him know, like, you're the man, like, let's go. Like, instead of giving a constructive criticism, he was just straight tearing him down. And I think that's what affected him.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, the dynamics of professional sports, of how it's hard, right? Because you ultimately are an investment. So you look at like high round picks or guys who are supposed to be coddled to the big leagues. Sometimes that's completely disadvantageous. Like it doesn't do anything for them. I mean, think about how many high school guys go into the draft and they're like coddled all the way up to the point where when adversity strikes, there's like, it doesn't work anymore. So you need that constructive criticism, but then you have some guys who come in and maybe they were coddled the whole way in to pro ball, and now they get a coach who's tough on them, and that buries them. And then you look at it, the other hard part about professional sports is, especially baseball. I don't know the other sports, but everyone's trying to make it. Every manager, every coach is trying to coach in the big leagues. Every PT or whatever is trying to get to the big league roster. So it's like a massive farm system of all these people trying to get to the top. So you never know what people's incentives are. You don't know what a coach, because some coaches that they'll bury you at the flip of a coin. It's like, well, all right, well, I got to say, oh yeah. And so you look at that and you, it's a crazy situation. Even speaking about that, what have been the organizations that you've been with? Because I know you went to Mexico too.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Just the Brewers Rays, and 2 organizations in Mexico. I got traded from one to another. So I didn't get traded. Yeah. I got loaned. How does that? Or how did the Mexican League? How did that whole scene look? I suppose. How did you get down there? What was that sort of like? Even on your mental psyche there too. They hit me up. They hit me up while I was in AAA, but I wasn't playing with the Brewers. Like, I had just had a great year with the Brewers, and the very next year, the Brewers didn't really have room for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were telling me, and I wasn't really playing. So the Mexico team hit me up. They realized I wasn't playing.
Oh.
So they hit me up like, hey, would you come down here? Like, we'll pay for your release and this and this and that. I was like, hey, me and the Brewers done already conversated. Like, the Brewers will give me my release. Okay. Like, we've already talked about this. So my agent didn't want me to do it. He didn't think it was a good idea. My agent didn't want me to do it. He didn't think it was a good idea. The coach that got me in baseball, like, none of them thought it was a good idea. But I told my agent, I was talking to my agent on the phone, and I'm like, hey, look, like, I need to do this because I can always come back to the States, but
sure,
like, I need to play. Like, straight up, I need to play. I need to go make some money. Like, this is what I need to do for my family.
Wow.
And I can always, like, I can still ball. Like, somebody gonna see it. And he just didn't know if I would make it back from Mexico to America, because scouts don't really go to Mexico to look at you play.
Sure.
So, and I told him, I was like, I should have enough body of work to where you don't need to go look at me play.
Mm-hmm.
If I can still run, that's all that matters. Like, right. So we go down to Mexico, dude. I kill it the first year and still nothing. I couldn't understand how I didn't have nobody offer me to come to spring training. Like, I didn't get it. I'm like, dude, I still run. Like, I can still run. I can still play everything, and I'm killing it. Like, I never really had a bad year ever.
Right.
Like, Why? So we go to next year. I play, and I'm killing it. The Rays contact me like halfway through the season. I'm talking to them, and then I didn't hear nothing from them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They came out to see me play. They come out to see me play, and I wasn't even supposed to play that day. They came out to see me play because I had played every single game,
mm-hmm.
and I was they were gonna give me a break because playoffs was getting ready. Like we were gonna get ready to go playoffs in a month and a half, so they were like, let's give him a break early. And the Rays came, and the Rays guy was like, hey, I came out to watch you. I need to see you play. So I told the manager, like, hey, I need to play. And he was happy. He was like, yeah, I'm throw you right in there. He didn't care. He didn't want me on the bench anyway.
Right.
So Rays watched me play, and I killed it. And I didn't hear nothing back for them for like 3 weeks. And 3 weeks go by, and I hear my agent call me like, hey, Rays want to sign you.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, let's do it. Hey, one of the happiest days I've had. The second happiest day I've had in baseball. I'm like, bro, I'm going back to the States, and I got an opportunity to play in the big league again. So that day, the happiest day was me getting called up. But them Rays signing me that late in the season, I knew, like, you're going to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Like, they're not signing you this late just to keep you in AAA for a couple weeks. Like, you're going to the big leagues, so just go there, handle business, and do what you do.
Did they? It's funny how that works, right? So they kind of leave, no communication. Then they sign you. They're sending you AAA. Did they say at all anything to make you think big leagues, or was that you just knew intuitively? You knew I'm going to the show.
Well, before they said anything, I knew it.
Okay.
But when I actually got there and talked to them, they were like, "Yeah, that plan is for you. We're going to evaluate you on stealing bases. That's it.
Okay.
That's all we care about. And we're going to evaluate you on that, and we want you to help us in September." I was like, fine. So I went to AA. And that's what we were doing. It was like they were putting me in the game late in the game, and the manager told the other manager, like, hey, he's still in the bag. Like, he told him, like, he's still in the bag. Make it as tough as you can for him.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what was going on, bro. It was crazy. The first base I ever had to steal in AA for him, dude, that was the hardest base I ever stole.
That is badass. Yeah.
100%. 100% the hardest base I ever stole because, for one, everybody knew I was stealing. For two, the dude that was pitching knew who I was. Like, he used to play with the Brewers. His name was DePlon.
Okay. Yeah.
He knew who I was. So, and for three, I was at second base trying to steal third, and DePlon was slide stepping. So I was like, it was like, bro, I know the chances of this base being stolen has to be slimmer than 5%. You got a guy slide stepping and
knows you're gonna go.
Knows you're gonna go slide stepping. He's a 1-1, 1-2, and you're trying to steal third. Like that's close to impossible. And I actually stole a bag.
Wow.
I actually stole a bag. So that was a good feeling. But yeah, I knew I was gonna steal a bag.
That is amazing.
I had to.
Well, and stealing's an art, right? I mean, you walking me through that just now was such a clear visual of how that would go, you know, and that's your art, right? So that's your baby. Do you put a lot of emphasis on? And I know you're getting ready to run too, so you're going to do some sand work. I'm assuming, right, and working on that sort of stuff. But do you put a lot of time on studying multiple pitchers? Like when you're in the show, if you're doing scouting reports or whatnot, are you watching the times, the legs, the movements, the mechanics, catchers, setups? Like, is there some stuff in there that's, I guess, don't give away all your secrets, but what are some of the things that you like practice on?
Oh, that's what I'm going over there. Like there's a scouting report you get before every series. So I'm going over the scouting report and the whole, like most of my day is like sitting there trying to watch each and every reliever.
Yeah.
Each and every reliever and all the closers, trying to watch them with runners on score, runners on base, and like even if they pitch out of a stretch with runners not on base, I want to see what they do different.
Sure.
Like so try to watch all that stuff, and dude, I'm even during the game, like I'm running up the tunnel every time they switch out a pitcher.
Wow.
Every single time they switch out a pitcher, I'm running up the tunnel to go look at video on this pitcher just to remember.
Yeah.
Remember, and when writing down notes if I see something, to write down notes to remember what he did, and just even the catchers, like you can scout reports on the catchers.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard for me because, dude, like it ain't too many guys in the big leagues that's like me. So pitchers will be doing all this stuff that you saw on film, and then as soon as you get over there, everything changes.
They change it up. Well, that was what I was going to say too, because they know you're stealing.
Yeah, everything changes because they've never done a slide step in their life, but they're going to do it that time because they don't want you to get to second base.
See, but I would even say that that's worth it because that could disrupt pitch quality. So now the hitter's advantageous.
Oh, 100%, because, well, like when I was with the Rays, even without me stealing, every time I got on base, I scored.
Yeah.
It almost every time I got on base, I scored because they were scared. They were nervous. Dude, there was a few walk-offs because I got on base and it was like disrupted. The pitcher worried about me. He left a fastball up and it's go time.
For sure.
Let's go home.
Yeah, now your steal, just you as a threat is worth it now. Even if you're not stealing the bag, you as a threat. Yeah. I gotta ask this because here's the childhood in me. I mean, what's it like running in the big leagues in a big league stadium? What's that like? I mean, I got the visual of you hitting that triple and sprinting around. That was awesome. I mean, you got to explain that feeling.
So I like the feeling was more like I felt it more when I was in the outfield.
Okay.
Like you feel the big league experience more because everything's slower. You're like it's a little different. When you're walking up to bat, it's kind of like I kind of like locked it in and was like, hey, this ain't nothing different than like the minor leagues. Let's go up, let's bang. Yeah. Like that's how I thought about it. And then when I ran around the bases, it was kind of like I played it the same way. So you kind of play it the same way, and you kind of like the first time I got on base, it was kind of like I was amped up, and it was like, oh, big league stadium. Mm-hmm. But after that, it's kind of like you get the jitters out, and it's kind of like fast paced, so you don't notice it as much. But when you're in the outfield, it slows down, and you're out there, you're going pitch by pitch, and
you can kind of see.
You're looking around. Yeah, you're looking around. You're like, man, this is the big league.
This isn't Double A.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 100%. Cool. That is cool, man. Well, I know just to kind of switch gears for a second, what is the training and lifestyle of the fastest man in baseball look like? What's your days? I mean, obviously you've aged now in terms of I shouldn't say of old age. I hope you play for another 15 years. Why not, right? But you've professionalized is what I mean by aged. Like you've obviously been exposed to a lot of training techniques and certain things like that, and that's a lot of what I like. I know a lot of people at MindStrong, like we obviously have a bunch of professional athletes that are on the team in football and hockey and whatnot, and so we like it's really cool to hear what people do. But what does the life of your off season look like in the way that you train?
Kind of it's similar, but I kind of do. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit.
Yeah.
I got my AC. I just turned my AC on for my.
Oh well, it's like 15 degrees here in Minnesota. You coming up here anytime soon? We got to get you in the lake. We've been swimming in the lake up there.
No chance. No, but yeah, my working out is kind of like just being smart. Like you said, I am older, so now I warm up. Mm-hmm. Like back then I didn't warm up. Like I didn't warm up or nothing. I just got right into everything. So now I got my warm up stuff that I got to do before I start to work out. Yeah. So I try to make sure I do that stuff, and not I kind of work harder now. Yeah. Because back then you were younger, your muscles recover faster and all that stuff. But now I need my muscles to last the whole season.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of work harder and get my stuff done better. But I do my warm up stuff because I go out there and I do my warm up stuff. I'm gonna be sore for a few days.
Are you lifting a lot? I know a lot of guys I've been talking to a lot. I actually just talked to a guy who's he's been in the NHL for 11 years. He's 32, I believe. He doesn't lift. He basically said he hasn't lifted at all this year, and he's had a 40% increase in power input, just focusing on mobility, ankle strength, foot strength, recovery, all that sort of stuff. And he was just talking about how he thinks he could play an X amount of years. It's kind of similar to the Tom Brady stuff, right? Like you figure out things that work. But do you lift as much as you used to, or has that kind of just off a feel? Because, I mean, like you're right? If you can run, you're good. You're ready to ball.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I lift my legs no matter what. My upper body, I don't do pushes much anymore. I don't do pushes much anymore. It's just more pulls to keep my arm in shape, so I don't so my arm's not barking throughout the season, and to keep my upper body kind of strong. But for the most part, it's core and lower body big time. Like I got to keep those intact, especially because I had ACL surgery. So if I stop lifting on my upper body, my right leg will get small. So,
oh man.
Yeah, I make sure the right leg's strong at all times. So,
have to. What's the hitting like? Do you start hitting early? Are you hitting the whole time? Are you throwing a lot? How's that whole thing looking?
This year I'm starting. I started late. Last year I didn't hit not one time.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't hit not one time. The last 2 years, as a matter of fact, and those were my best 2 years.
Yeah,
I didn't hit because at this point, you know what you're trying to do, and you know how your swing is. You know how your swing is, and if you're not working on nothing new with your swing, then don't try to fix what ain't broke.
Right.
So, them last 2 years, I didn't hit because I didn't want to run out of gas throughout the season, and because that's what happened in low A. It was a learning curve.
Yeah.
I ran out of gas in that last month. That bat got heavy. I started swinging under the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So the last 2 years I didn't do that, but this year I'm actually working on something new with my swing, with something different that I learned from a hitting coach. Just to reiterate, so I am hitting this year. Just I didn't start until late December.
Sure.
Started hitting.
And just
work,
just narrowing in on some techniques and those sort of things.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. And it's just good to hear that stuff. It's cool to hear. And I know you know, at the end of the day, it does just come down to your ability to just keep competing and make sure you're able to survive, right? It's like the longer and better you survive and sustain yourself, you just give yourself options to play. And that's what you did a phenomenal job of. You did that arguably, in my experience, you're probably one of the best that I've seen do that. You just found a way to survive, and it ended up, you know, being it was great. It worked out really well. I think I want to get you into your lift and get you moving, but as we kind of think about finishing up here, what's the vision moving forward for Johnny? You know, I think it's fun talking to you, and we can get off air. We'll chirp each other as we always have, you know, and just see how everything's are going. But what's the vision moving forward in the next couple of years? What do you want to continue to see yourself kind of do in the game, and kind of keep finding ways of plugging yourself into a major league roster and playing?
I don't know. I just need opportunity.
Yeah.
Because when you're a player like me, you got to make everybody a believer. But I've been doing that all my life.
Right.
Like I've been making everybody a believer. Everybody's doubted me all my life. People told me, don't go play baseball, it ain't gonna work out, and they worked out. Like people told me, don't play football, it ain't gonna work out. All of these things that people told me that I couldn't do, I've done. Mm-hmm. Like that one time when we were in instructs, people told me that I couldn't get behind the plate and throw pop time under 2, and I threw 182. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me what I can't do because I'm gonna show you I can.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I just needed, the opportunity for somebody to give me, like, I don't know how it's gonna happen or if it'll ever happen, but I know if somebody gives me the opportunity, I'm gonna show that I can play every day in the big league.
That's awesome, dude.
That's my next goal, like, to play every day in the big leagues, because I know I can ball. Like,
yeah.
Like I can't fathom how other people can't see it. Like, if you've ever seen me play, how do you not understand that I can ball in the big league? So
well, and I love it. And I think if you can take that, how would you articulate that and bring that to people who are listening, because people are listening to this. And again, you make it sound so simple, which is awesome. And it's not about the big leagues necessarily. It's just about how you approach life, which you've talked a lot about this entire conversation, right? Which is sweet. How do people who are listening to this sort of, where would be some steps for them to start thinking about their own lives or things that they can go out and accomplish? And it doesn't just have to be sports. We've already talked about other talents. Yeah. But how could you take your approach, the way you communicate with yourself, the way that you believe in yourself? What are some things that people could start doing to kind of just take the next step for their own lives?
Just tell yourself that your mind's a lie.
Yeah.
Like all your brain does to you is tell you lies, because that's literally what it does. Your mind tells you, like, it's like 80% of your thoughts are negative.
Yeah.
Like, so your mind's telling you lies. When your mind tells you you can't do something, just think the opposite. Like, I can. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just tell yourself that you can do it. Mm-hmm. Like, and one of the things that has always kept me confident is I've always thought that I work too hard. Mm-hmm. I work too hard to not be able to do it. So if I'm out here if I'm working hard, I'm gonna believe in the process and it's gonna happen. Right. I've got the ability. That was one of my curses early on, mm-hmm. of being very talented. But there's a point where you get that you have to realize that you got to work hard. Mm-hmm. And if you work hard, that's where a lot of the confidence come from. Mm-hmm. A lot of the confidence come from your preparation. A lot of the confidence, because if you, like, think about it, you go into a test that you've never read anything on, you're like, oh, I'm about to fail. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. But if you done study X amount of days, you go into that test prepared, you're like, I'm about to ace this test. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's the same thing when it comes to anything else. And when it comes to playing baseball or anything, it's like, man, I worked all season to kill it. I can't wait till the season starts because I'm going to kill. Mm-hmm. And to not lose that confidence when things go bad, because that's life. Sometimes things don't go your way, but just know that there's a chance to bounce back, and just go bounce back and do your thing.
Well said, man. I got to tell you, this is exactly why I wanted to get on with you. And I think something that I always like to tell people who do a podcast with us is, your time is valuable. You just set aside time, whether we were teammates, friends in the day or whatnot. You got a lot of stuff that you're trying to get done. And I hope that a lot of people get to hear what you just said. Even myself, yeah. Listening to you on my side, and it's super cool for me. I'll be selfish here, but it's cool for me to hear you say that, because I watched you do it, and then to see you do that years after I was done playing with you and watch you sustain it. Like I've said many times, I can't even fathom what that would have been like if I would have gone through that process. I don't know what that would be like, but I got to imagine I'd have to think the way that you just said it, and that's a special breed, right? So, from me on my side, I just want to say thanks for, first of all, your time, but then second of all, just being you, man. That's a inspiring. You obviously know your story is remarkable. It might be one of the best stories I know of. I know a lot of people would probably say that too. And there's tons of great stories. That's not downplaying any other people's great feats, but it's always to hear it to watch it from afar and then hear you say the things you're saying and know that that's what you're about. It's just a cool thing, man. And I think that's from me, just keep doing it. You obviously know that, but it's just, I appreciate you coming in and sharing that stuff.
No doubt.
So we will, I like I said, let's get you into the run. I'll be coming out to California here, I think, in a couple of weeks. I'll have to give you a shout. Hopefully, if I do, I'll give you a shout. I don't know where we'll be at. But as you move forward for the future, Johnny, keep going, man. A lot of people are happy for you and are fans of yours. So keep doing your thing. Go run that dog wild. Run that dog. Outrun him. Outrun the dog.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the objective.
So, hey, man. Hey, fun talking to you, brother. It was really fun talking to you and catching up.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks.
We will. I'll chirp you soon and catch up with you, and I'll let you know when we release this thing, and we'll get it out there for the people.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, brother. Thanks, I'll talk to you soon, Johnny.
Talk to you, Harv.
All right, man. Take care.
Take it.